Hello, this is Kelly Kleiman, and you're listening to the DealershipNews.com podcast, where we spotlight the who's happening in the automotive industry. It's foot soldiers, visionaries, salesmen, GMs, owners, service managers, and industry vendors alike. Today, we're happy to have Mike Dunlap, Vice President, Business Development, Schomp Automotive, a company that sells Subarus, Mercedes, Hyundais, Hondas, Beamers, Mazdas, Minis, and motorcycles. And we're glad to have him on board. Mike, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kelly. Glad to be with you.
So what drove you into the car business to begin with, and what did you do beforehand? Did you trip over a curb and stumble into a dealership, or was it manifest destiny?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of both. My great-grandfather was one of the first Ford dealers in Virginia, where I grew up, and so I think it was in my veins a little bit. But I got into the business after I finished college and started working on the agency side and did some work for BMW Group and Jaguar Land Rover and Volvo, and ultimately I was hired into BMW in sort of the marketing side of the business and made my way through dealer development and into the field as a regional sales rep. And then from there, I got tired of moving. We bounced around as most manufacturer reps do, and ended up in Colorado and decided to plant roots there. And I joined the Schomp organization about 5 years ago. So it's been a great ride.
Well, I'm sure they're happy to have you. Schomp Subaru absolutely shot out of the gates. I mean, they shot out of it as fast as you can imagine, the Rocky Mountain region. This past month, you guys moved about 266 Subarus, which, by the way, is a smoking hot brand. You see them on TV, and I'm sure you're benefiting from the advertising. For any volume dealer, specifically in and around Denver, only the Subaru brand across the board sold better this January than it did last January. So year over year, it's doing really, really well. Tell us about the buyout of short line Subaru and why are people driving Subarus to the extent that they are up there in Colorado?
Yeah, we acquired short line Subaru along with Mazda and Hyundai last June. We purchased those from Don Hicks, who was a great partner in that buy-sell transaction. So we took over June 1st. And since then, we've been working awfully hard to implement our one price, one person, 1 hour sales philosophy. And we've been up and running on that since about December. Those three stores, with Subaru in particular, were transitioned from the short line name to Schomp Subaru, effective just the beginning of this month in February. And so it's been a good ride. It's been, there's a lot of process change anytime you go through a buy-sell, but we're off and running. We got a great crew over there and a tremendous leader in Brian Briscoe, who's running that deal for us, and it's been very successful. We're excited to be in the Subaru business and have Subaru in sort of our portfolio of brands. And Subaru does remarkably well in Colorado, as the numbers sort of showed you. And I think that's about the Colorado lifestyle. I think the brand really speaks to the consumer in the Colorado market. It's a very active outdoor lifestyle. We love our time in the mountains, and Subaru is a really fitting brand for all of the active sort of outdoor lifestyle that folks in Colorado like to enjoy.
Yeah, I totally believe that. The fit is perfect. So what does your typical day look like, and what are the biggest dealership challenges?
I don't think I'll take the challenges first. They're probably not so much different than other dealers around Colorado and around the country. Finding and retaining, really great people is the biggest challenge in this business. We're in a very competitive labor market, and particularly in Denver, where I think our unemployment rate is south of 2.5% now. Finding great people is always a challenge. And for us, I think, we like to bring folks in from outside the automotive industry. Typical client advisors for us don't come from other dealerships. They come from, the service industry or, from, other retail sectors. And so finding great people is a tough one for us. My day-to-day is, no 2 days are the same in the car business, right? You sort of take them as they come to you, but I spend a lot of time with our marketing team. I spend a lot of time with our sales training team and our service training team, and trying to look for opportunities for us to get better across all 7 of our stores, and try to make the best of every day that I have, and deliver a great experience for the customers and guests that come into our stores.
Certainly seems to be working up there. How do you guys give back to the community? Any fun promotions that you've come up with that resonate within your community?
Yeah, we've got a wonderful ownership family, Lisa Schomp and Aaron Wallace. We're a 4th generation family owned business, and we believe very strongly that when we invest back in the communities that we operate in, it's going to sustain our long-term success. And we've got a great pedigree or a great heritage of being a partner in the community. We have a 29-year relationship with Children's Hospital in Colorado, and one of the biggest things we do every year is our annual Children's Hospital sale that happens in July, where we donate a portion of the proceeds of every vehicle we sell to the pediatric burn unit at Children's Hospital Colorado. So that's just an example of one of the things that we do that we're really proud of. But we like to give back sort of in a couple of different areas, particularly focused on children's health and wellness. And the second one is education, and not just childhood education, but workforce development programs and technical education for our community colleges and technical schools. So we focus a lot on those 2 areas and try to give to programs where we can have a meaningful impact.
Certainly more impactful than sponsoring soccer and baseball teams. That's pretty admirable stuff right there. Let's talk a little bit more brass tacks business here. Media buy strategy. You break it down by percentage spend for me if you can. What kind of results are you seeing from third-party classifieds that you deal with, if any? Is print 100% dead? Is digital marketing the whole enchilada? What works best for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think digital is. It's not the whole enchilada, but it's most of it for sure. We like to measure our marketing spend and be able to track and really put metrics against the dollars that we're spending on marketing, and have good ROI intelligence on all of our marketing channels. Generally speaking, we're not in the mass media marketing business. We do have probably 10% of our media weight is on radio, some of it on traditional broadcast radio, and the rest on digital radio, whether it be Pandora or Spotify or an iHeart radio network type of thing. We're in very little print outside of some lifestyle publication stuff, and that's really more partnership oriented around different charities or different events that local lifestyle publication may have in the marketplace. But the lion's share of it, 80% plus of it is digital for us. Sure. On the third party, auto endemic stuff, I think that each of the players, the big players, has a place. TrueCar, Auto Trader, Car Gurus, Cars.com. But we just have to keep them honest, right? We need to be constantly measuring the traffic that they're generating for us and the leads that they're sending us, to our stores, and comparing that to the results that we see from that traffic or from those leads, and do a thorough ROI analysis on what we're spending with them. And there's a place for all of them as long as the numbers are right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which brings us to the next question. Which automotive vendors do you love? Guys you could bank on to provide either great service or even great leads, as you mentioned, and consider your CRM, website provider, or any other outsourced entities.
Yeah, I mean, we've got great partnerships with a number of our vendors, and I like to call them partnerships because we want to create sort of a marketing stack or a vendor stack across all 7 of our stores, right? I don't need one store using one website and another store using another website provider. So we have a marketing stack and a vendor stack that we use at all stores. And we try to build relationships with those vendors and at a high level, where if we need something done or we need them to consider developing, have the relationships where we can pick up the phone and have a good conversation with them about that. I'm really excited about a few. I'm very excited about the sort of X-Time suite of tools. I think Tracy Fred's doing a great job over there. She's a new leader of the X-Time business for Cox Automotive, and I think she sees that there are some sort of pieces of the puzzle that are still missing within that suite of tools, and she's committed with her development team to get those put in place so we can operate in one sort of X-Time suite of tools on the service side. So I'm excited about that. I like Recall Masters. Those guys are doing good recall marketing work for us on the fixed side. And we love the guys at Dealer Inspire as well. They build great websites for us and respond when we need things done. So I'd call those three out individually.
I like that. We won't ask for the ones that you don't like. We won't go there. Oh, I'm so tempted. But from the standpoint of
well, if we don't like them, they don't stick around long. So,
I'm sure they don't.
We're talking about anyway.
Well, we hear it all over here. Trust me. There's a lot of good, and there's some guys who are well intended, but they just can't pull it off. Let's face it. So, from the standpoint of finding, training, and retaining sales talent, we touched on that a little bit earlier. The issues of turnover exist in every dealership, and that's a tough challenge. We understand that. If it's not your toughest challenge, what is?
It is the biggest challenge for us, and it starts with hiring the right people, giving them the tools and the foundation to be successful, and then the proper feedback and coaching and development in the stores. I think if you can do those things effectively, you can mitigate the turnover risk, right? And we do that more successfully in some stores than others, but where we do have that recipe baked well, we see our turnover significantly lower than the sort of the industry average. So it's about hiring, sort of attracting the right folks first, and hiring the right folks for the position, making sure we put people in the right seats on the bus, and then giving them the foundation through our training program. We've got a 6-week program on the sales side before you touch a customer. You're in class for 4 weeks and with a mentor for 2 weeks before you're really able to engage a customer on the sales side, and then propping them up while they're in the store and giving them great feedback and opportunities for growth and development. That's the recipe for us. And I wish I could tell you that we have it all mastered, but we're we've got opportunities in some stores more so than others, but we're marching down that road, and we think we're on a good path at the moment.
Do you ramp them up on social media? It seems as if a salesman takes an honest interest in working with someone. They make a sale, they friend them on whatever social media, and they like posts that they make. They comment. They stay positive when they stay connected. I would think that would be great for return business, for keeping a customer for life. I mean, I think retention is so crucial. What's your plan, social media over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think for our client advisors and for our staff, we encourage them to develop their own professional brand, right? Everybody has they've got an insurance guy and they've got a jeweler and they have a real estate broker. We want to encourage our folks to become the car guy or the car gal for our clients and develop long-term relationships with them. And we encourage our folks to develop their own sort of personal or professional, brand. So on the sort of personnel side, that's what we try to encourage them to do. On the marketing side, we look at social as another media channel, and it's got to, it has to deliver an ROI. Facebook is a very different beast than it was 12 months ago or even 2 or 3 years ago. You need to use first-party data when you're marketing through Facebook now, and we try to do that effectively and create genuine content that comes from the voice of the brand that we're representing and engages the customer in a meaningful way about a topic that we believe is relevant to them. So that's our general sort of strategy on the social side.
Yeah, it's a good strategy. I'm in full agreement with it. We've seen some really nice little vendor programs out there that deal with social media in a really good way. There's a company called What was that one called, guys? Easy Referral. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're out of, I think they're out of Maryland. It's a nice little outfit. We'll talk about it some other time. But anyway, I've got to interview them anyway. So let's step back into the past here briefly. 2018 saw a wave of bad credit card buyers. They got hit especially hard as the Feds increased interest rates on loans to that particular subprime sector. Looks like the interest rates are going to be static this year. How did it affect sales this year? And let's talk about your crystal ball vision for 2019. What are sales going to look like in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, we're pretty bullish on 19. I think that, generally we need to, and dealer groups will need to find ways to get leaner. There's some headwinds in front of us. Rates, obviously, being one of them. Threats of tariffs. There are a number of risks out on the horizon. But we need to get leaner in that type of environment. For the first time last year, I read an NADA report a couple of weeks ago. For the first time last year, more than 50% of the net profit in dealerships came from the fixed side of the business. So we've turned a lot of our attention to the fixed side of the business and want to make sure that we're, maximizing our opportunity on that side of the house. Mm-hmm. My crystal ball is no better than anybody else's, but I can tell you that I think the Feds are going to cool off and stay steady this year. I don't think we're going to see that, gradual march to increase rates as the year goes on. I think we'll see them, sort of take a more measured approach. So I'm hopeful for that. But we're blessed to have to represent brands that have great products. Both now and releases this year with our BMW store. I think we've got 6 or 7 new product releases this year. So I think that will certainly help. Product is going to be king in a little bit more of a sluggish environment. And Honda's got a great lineup. Subaru has the all new 7-passenger Ascent. They've got a new Outback and Legacy coming. They had an all new Forester last year. So the brands that have great product are going to win the day, I think. And I think we're fortunate to have a pretty good stable of brands to represent, and that'll lead us to a pretty good 19, we think.
Well, it's working out well for you up there in your neck of the woods, for sure. You're the number one Subaru dealer going into February of 2019. You guys had a really, really good January. Of course, anybody selling Subarus did pretty good. As I mentioned, it was the only brand basically that showed a year-over-year improvement, which almost for every dealership. I won't mention the one that was down 8%. We'll leave them alone. Hey, what kind of car do you drive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a couple things. I've fallen in love with the Subaru brand since we've joined their network. I've got an Outback that I drive and haul the kids around, and I also have a BMW 5 Series. I'm a BMW guy at heart and worked for BMW North America for about 8.5 years. So I'm pretty loyal to BMW these days, and I think I'll always have one in the garage. But impressed by Subaru and the product that they offer. There's some great stuff coming out of our Mercedes store right now. It's tempting. All of our brands have great product right now. You're not going to drive a bad product these days. Brands that making bad stuff don't stick around very long.
Folks, that's the guy. That's Mike Dunlap, Vice President of Business Development. He's up with the Schomp guys up in Colorado. We're very, very happy to have had you on board. Thanks a lot, Mike. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, Kelly. Honored to do it. Appreciate the invite.
Oh, you bet. Hey, that's the music. That means it's all the time we have. Kelly Kleiman here. You were listening to the DealershipNews.com podcast, where we spotlight the who's happening in the industry. Have a great day, everybody.